Have you ever stopped to consider that maybe our definition of work is fundamentally misunderstood? According to anthropological research, some hunter-gatherers in various parts of the world spend less than 4 hours a day securing their daily food. They have no salaries, no overtime, no meetings, and no end-of-the-month stress. But what's even stranger is that these people aren't depressed, they're not always in a rush, and they don't feel like they're falling behind. In this video, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating living tribes on Earth. A tribe with no money, no fixed working hours, and no bosses. And yet they've successfully survived for centuries. More importantly, we're going to find out if we've been misled about work, productivity, and what it means to be successful. At the end of the video, we'll get to the most important part. Don't miss it. We're heading to Africa, to northern Tanzania. Here, by the shores of Lake Eyasi. It feels as though time has stood completely still, and its people have had no taste of modern life. There are no skyscrapers here, no electricity, no internet, and not even a supermarket. This is the specific area where the Hadzabe or Hadza tribe lives today. There are only about 1,300 to 1,500 of these people left. They are truly one of the very last remaining hunter-gatherer peoples on the entire Earth. Their mornings begin with the sunrise, not with a phone alarm, not with instant coffee, and not with traffic. In fact, in the mornings, the men grab their bows and arrows and head into the forest together in small groups, with their dogs accompanying them. Sometimes they make a catch, and sometimes they come back empty-handed. In other words, hunting is somewhat unpredictable for them, and many times they return empty-handed. But the most important point to remember is that if one day they catch a big game, they might not go hunting at all for the next 2 or 3 days. This is a completely deliberate choice, and doesn't mean these people are lazy at all. No, at times like this, they simply don't see any need to go hunting. And what's more, no one here stores food, no one builds a stockpile, and no one says they're worried about tomorrow. No matter what delicious food they have prepared, they place it in the middle and share the entire meal together. Based on anthropological studies, the Hadza typically spend an average of about 3 to 4 hours every single day hunting for and gathering their food. So what do they do for the rest of the day? Nothing at all. They just sit together, laugh, and talk with each other. Meanwhile, all the children play happily, and absolutely none of the people there feel lonely. Now compare this to our own lives. 8 long hours of work, 2 hours or more spent commuting, and even during our precious break time, we're busy checking our work emails in bed, all while constantly stressing about tomorrow. We're always worried about falling behind others. Then we try to comfort ourselves by saying, "No, come on, I'm just working incredibly hard." Why is it that no matter how much we work, we still don't have enough money to achieve all our dreams? Why is it that we aren't truly happy at all? One fascinating and strange thing about the Hadza is that they don't have anything they would call money at all. And when you explain to them what money is, they're surprised, because this question comes to their minds. Why should you rely on something external simply in order to survive? In fact, their reaction when they see money is largely one of confusion or genuine laughter. Not because they're simple, but because it doesn't fit with their worldview. That's exactly their unspoken question. Why should human survival depend on something that doesn't come from nature? In fact, the Hadza people traditionally have no monetary system, no personal savings, no wages, or any accumulated ownership. That means whatever is obtained today is consumed today. It's neither stored nor saved for the future. Of course, nowadays, through limited contact with the outside world, they sometimes engage in exchange or trade. For example, a jar of honey in exchange for bags of corn flour. But this is a kind of barter, and it's fundamentally different from the transactions we do with money today. For us, money represents a sense of security. The more our bank accounts grow and the more assets we accumulate, the calmer our minds tend to be. But for them, skill equals security. They know how to track wild animals, find edible roots, identify safe drinking water, and deeply understand the rhythms of nature. But what about us? Nothing. Whenever the power goes out, our daily lives are almost completely paralyzed, leaving us stuck and unable to function. Let me make something perfectly clear right here. The culture of hard work keeps shouting one thing. We are told to work more to increase our value, but the Hadza pose a very simple question. Why should I work more than I need to? In fact, they genuinely live by the logic of doing the minimum work for the maximum life, and see work as a necessary means, not an end. That's why for them, work is only for survival, not for defining identity or as a measure of a person's worth. But we have always worked to build identity, gain value, and seek approval. And the very important point is that amid all this chaos, we've lost the meaning of life. On the other hand, the Hadza have shown that humans can truly survive, connect with one another, and be happy without torturing themselves with the burden of hard work. Now, in the meantime, some researchers say that this lifestyle isn't generalizable at all. What does that mean? It means we can't just copy and paste the Hadza people's way of life exactly as it is onto our own lives, because they have a very small population and live in an environment that still has wild resources. They don't have a monetary economy, government, rent, electricity bills, insurance, university, or many other things, and their needs are limited and simple. But a modern city of 10 million people can't function with this model because hospitals, technology, transportation, and education are simply impossible without a modern economic system. Plus, natural resources aren't enough for billions of people. But some people also say, that's true, we're not all supposed to go back to ancient times and become hunter-gatherers. However, we can learn from the lives of the Hadza to desire fewer possessions or to work only as much as we need, rather than trying to build an identity around it. Or we can choose to define productivity differently or build security for ourselves through practical skills, not just through money. More importantly, we can gain valuable insight from the Hadza that having a strong social life is significantly more beneficial than extreme individualism. That's why, in the midst of all this, Marshall Salins, the highly renowned and influential anthropologist, in his well-known article called The Original Affluent Society, famously argued and stated that hunter-gatherers were actually the first affluent society. Of course, by affluent, he definitely doesn't mean wealthy in terms of money. What he means is that having very few material needs, limited desires, an abundance of leisure time, high psychological security, and little dependence on external structures is the real wealth. In my opinion, the issue isn't whether the Hadza are better or we are. The issue is that we've never stopped to ask ourselves why we're running around so much in the first place. Maybe the problem isn't laziness. Maybe the problem is that we've learned the wrong definition of work. If work begins to destroy your life and negatively impacts your physical and mental health, then it is not truly work anymore. Now it's your turn. Do you really think reducing your working hours means slipping further behind? Or does working less finally allow a person to truly start living? Write your opinion in the comments. I would genuinely love to know exactly what you think about this. Remember, the Hadza are not necessarily trying to tell us to live like them in any way whatsoever. They are simply serving as a mirror. A mirror that shows us work isn't always a virtue. Money is not the only pathway to true security, and perhaps living isn't just something that we can postpone until later. In fact, maybe life is actually this precious present moment. This specific moment when you're laughing for no particular reason at all, and you feel like you are in no rush.